The communication room aboard the human ship, Aurora, fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life. Ambassador Jake Morrison adjusted his formal uniform and waited for the transmission from the Galactic Council. He had been expecting this call for weeks, ever since tensions began rising between humanity and the alien governments. The image that appeared made Jake's stomach drop. High Counselor Zethkar of the Vorthan Empire stood at the center of a massive chamber, surrounded by representatives from 12 different alien species. The Vorthan's gray skin looked almost metallic under the harsh lights, and his 4 eyes fixed directly on Jake through the screen. "Ambassador Morrison," Zethkar's voice came through the translator with a cold tone. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's continued expansion into our galaxy." Jake straightened in his chair. Behind him, his aide, Captain Lisa Parker from the Earth Defense Force, stepped closer to listen. She had been assigned to this diplomatic mission specifically because the military expected trouble. "We are listening, High Counselor," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady. Zethkar raised a datapad and began reading. "By unanimous vote of the founding species, the Galactic Council hereby issues the following ultimatum to the human race. All human settlements, colonies, and military installations beyond your home solar system must be evacuated within 72 standard hours." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. He could hear Lisa's sharp intake of breath behind him. "Any human presence discovered outside the Sol system after this deadline will be considered an act of rebellion against galactic order," Zethkar continued. "Your species has shown dangerous aggressive tendencies, and your military buildup threatens the peace we have maintained for 3,000 years. Jake found his voice. "High Counselor, this is impossible. We have over 50 colonies with millions of people. 72 hours is not enough time to evacuate them all." "That is not our concern," another alien spoke up. This one was from the Karathi species, with blue skin and tentacles instead of arms. "Your rapid expansion and military growth have alarmed the Council. We cannot allow a warlike species to threaten our established territories." "We are not warlike," Jake protested. "Every colony we have established was in unclaimed space. We have followed all galactic laws." Zethkar's 4 eyes narrowed. "Laws that we wrote long before your species discovered faster than light travel. Laws that we can change when we see fit." The transmission cut to a wide view showing the space outside Nexus Prime, the Council's capital world. Jake's heart sank as he saw the massive fleet assembled there. Thousands of alien warships filled the space around the planet, their weapons trained outward. 50,000 ships from the Council fleet are already moving to secure key hyperspace jump points, Zethkar announced. "Any attempt by human vessels to leave your colonies will be met with force." Lisa stepped forward. "You're talking about trapping millions of innocent people." "We are talking about containing a threat," the Karathi representative replied. "Your military vessels are among the most advanced we have seen from such a young species. Your weapons technology rivals our own. This cannot be allowed." Jake realized the truth behind their words. Humanity had indeed made rapid advances in technology and military power. Human ships were faster than most alien vessels, and their weapons were more efficient. The older alien species, comfortable in their established positions, saw humanity as a threat to their dominance. "What if we agree to stop expanding?" Jake asked desperately. "What if we sign agreements to limit our military growth?" Zethkar shook his massive head. "It is too late for negotiations. The decision has been made. 72 hours, Ambassador Morrison. After that, any human found outside Sol system will be eliminated." The transmission ended, leaving Jake and Lisa alone in the communication room. The silence stretched between them as they both processed what they had just heard. "They mean it," Lisa said finally. "This isn't a negotiation tactic. They really intend to force us back to Earth." Jake nodded slowly. "Contact Terra Station immediately. President Clark needs to know about this." While Lisa worked at the communication console, Jake stared out the viewport at the stars. Somewhere out there, millions of humans were going about their daily lives on distant worlds, unaware that their homes were about to be taken from them. At Terra Station, orbiting high above Earth, Captain Danny Sullivan received the emergency transmission from the Aurora. He quickly patched it through to the Global Defense Council chambers deep within the station. President Helen Clark listened to Jake's report with growing anger. Around the table sat the leaders of Earth's military and government, including Admiral Ben Crawford, commander of the Human Space Navy. 2 million people, Admiral Crawford said when the report ended. That's how many humans live in the outer colonies. We can't evacuate them all in 3 days. Even if we could, added General Rick Hayes, who commanded the Colonial Defense Forces, where would we put them? Earth is already at capacity. President Clark stood and walked to the large window overlooking Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful from this distance, but she knew that peace was about to end. They're doing this because they're afraid of us, she said. In less than 200 years, we went from primitive technology to matching their capabilities. They want to stop us before we become too powerful. What are our options? Asked Dr. Amanda Ross, the head of military research. Admiral Crawford pulled up tactical displays. We have approximately 800 military vessels scattered across 50 systems. Against 50,000 alien ships, we would be outnumbered 60-1. But our ships are better, General Hayes pointed out. Human technology has advanced faster than theirs. Our weapons are more effective, our ships are faster. Numbers still matter, Crawford replied grimly. President Clark turned back to face the council. Send word to all colonies immediately. Begin evacuations where possible, but prepare for defense where necessary. We will not abandon our people. Ma'am, Admiral Crawford said carefully, that's essentially a declaration of war against the entire Galactic Council. Clark's expression hardened. Then that's what it is. They want to see what happens when they push humanity too far. They're about to find out. On the frontier world of New Denver, Colonel Rick Hayes received the evacuation order with a heavy heart. His wife Kate, the colony's chief medical officer, was already organizing the hospital staff to prepare patients for transport. 200,000 people, Rick said as he looked at the evacuation plans. We have maybe 30 transport ships available. Even running continuous trips, we can't get everyone out in time. Kate squeezed his hand. Then we prepare to fight. Rick nodded. Alert all defense units. If the aliens want New Denver, they'll have to take it from us. As the 72-hour countdown began, humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. But they would soon learn that pushing humans too far only made them more dangerous. The 72 hours passed like a countdown to doomsday. Across human space, desperate evacuation efforts continued around the clock. Some smaller colonies managed to get most of their people out, but the larger settlements like New Denver could only save a fraction of their population. When the deadline expired, the Galactic Council's response was swift and merciless. Admiral Crexlon of the Council fleet had positioned his ships at the edge of the New Denver system, waiting for the deadline to pass. His orders were clear. Make an example that would break human resistance once and for all. All ships, begin orbital bombardment, Crexlon commanded from his flagship bridge. The alien vessels moved into position above New Denver like vultures circling prey, their massive weapons powered up, casting an ominous glow in the darkness of space. On the planet's surface, Colonel Rick Hayes watched the approaching ships through his command bunker's periscope. Around him, his remaining staff prepared for the worst. Most of the military personnel had volunteered to stay behind to help with evacuations, even knowing what it would cost them. Sir, we're detecting weapons charging on the alien ships, reported Lieutenant Jake Morris, the communications officer. Rick felt his heart pounding. Any word from the hospital? Dr. Hayes is still evacuating the children's ward, Morris replied. She says she needs 15 more minutes. Rick closed his eyes briefly. Kate had refused to leave the hospital, insisting that she couldn't abandon the sick children who were too fragile to transport. He wanted to order her to safety, but he knew she wouldn't listen. It was one of the things he loved most about her, and now it might get her killed. Contact all defense units, Rick ordered. Fire everything we have at those ships. Maybe we can buy Kate more time. The human defensive batteries opened fire, sending streams of plasma and missile volleys toward the alien fleet. The weapons had been designed to fight off pirates and raiders, not a full military assault. They might as well have been throwing rocks at a mountain. Admiral Crexlon watched the pathetic human resistance with amusement. Return fire. Target all military installations first, then population centers. The first wave of alien weapons struck New Denver like the fist of an angry god. The orbital defense platforms vanished in brilliant explosions. The military spaceport disappeared under a rain of plasma fire. Then the bombardment spread to the city itself. Kate Hayes was carrying a 6-year-old girl named Emma toward the evacuation shuttle when the hospital took a direct hit. The building shook violently, and Kate threw herself over the child as debris rained down around them. "It's okay, Emma," Kate whispered as alarms blared throughout the hospital. "We're going to get you out of here." But as they reached the hospital's main entrance, Kate saw that the shuttle landing pad had been destroyed. Twisted metal and burning debris blocked their path to safety. She looked back at the dozen other children the staff was trying to evacuate and made a decision that would define her final moments. "Take the children to the basement shelter," she told the nurse beside her. "I'll try to signal for another pickup." Kate ran toward the communication array on the hospital's roof, hoping to contact any rescue ships in the area. She made it halfway up the stairs before the second bombardment wave hit. The entire hospital collapsed in seconds, taking Kate and 43 children with it. Rick felt the ground shake beneath his bunker as explosions lit up the sky above New Denver. He tried desperately to reach Kate on his communicator, but got only static in response. "Sir," Lieutenant Morris said quietly, "the hospital district is gone." Rick's world stopped. He stared at the tactical display showing the devastation spreading across New Denver like a plague. The symbols representing the hospital, the schools, the residential areas all flickered and went dark one by one. "Sir," Morris said again. "Orders?" Rick forced himself to focus. Kate was gone, but there were still people he could save. "Contact all remaining defense units. Fall back to evacuation zones. Protect the transports at all costs." But there were too few transports and too many people. As the alien bombardment continued, Rick watched helplessly as his city died around him. In 6 hours, 150,000 people were dead, including his wife. Captain Danny Sullivan was in the Kepler system when he received the emergency broadcast from New Denver. His destroyer Valkyrie was one of the few human military ships in the area, and he immediately changed course toward the mining colony on Kepler 442b. "Sir, we're detecting council ships moving to intercept us," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Amy Parker. Danny studied the display. 3 alien cruisers were approaching the mining colony, while his single destroyer would have to face them alone if he attempted a rescue. "How many people at the mining station?" he asked. 3,000 civilians, sir. No military presence." Danny made his decision. "Set course for the colony. Maximum speed. We're getting our people out." The Valkyrie reached Kepler 442b just as the alien ships began their attack. Danny watched the mining platforms explode under alien fire, while civilian transports tried desperately to escape. "All weapons, target the lead cruiser," Danny ordered. "Buy those transports time to get away." The Valkyrie's weapons were more advanced than the aliens expected. The first salvo punched through the cruiser's shields and tore into its hull, but the other 2 alien ships quickly returned fire, and Danny's single destroyer couldn't fight them all. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported his damage control officer. "We're losing power to the main engines." "Keep firing," Danny replied. "How many transports got away?" 15 ships, sir." "About 3,000 people." Danny nodded grimly. They had saved everyone they could, but at a terrible cost. The Valkyrie was dying around him, and the alien ships were moving in for the kill. "All hands abandon ship," Danny ordered. "Set the reactor to overload. If we're going down, we're taking one of them with us." The Valkyrie exploded in a brilliant flash, taking one of the alien cruisers with it. Danny and most of his crew made it to the escape pods, but they had lost their ship and been forced to watch a human colony burn. On Earth, Admiral Ben Crawford received the horrific reports from across human space. Colony after colony fell to the alien assault. Some, like New Denver, fought to the end. Others surrendered immediately, hoping for mercy they would not receive. 11 colonies completely destroyed, Crawford reported to President Clark. Over 2 million dead. "The aliens aren't taking prisoners." Clark stared at the casualty reports on her desk. Each number represented someone's family member, someone's friend, someone's child. The weight of those deaths settled on her shoulders like a mountain. "They're broadcasting a message to Earth," Crawford continued. "The Council is demanding our immediate surrender." The transmission appeared on the main screen, showing High Counselor Zethkar speaking from his command ship. Behind him, tactical displays showed the burning ruins of human colonies. "People of Earth," Zethkar announced, "this is the price of defiance. Your colonies are ash. Your people are dead. Surrender now or your homeworld will share their fate." Clark watched the message in silence, her face like stone. When it ended, she stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth. Her beautiful blue planet looked so peaceful from space, but she knew that peace was about to end forever. "Ma'am?" Crawford asked quietly. "Your orders?" Clark turned back to face her military commanders. Her eyes blazed with a fury that made several of them step back. "They wanted to see what happens when they push humanity too far," she said in a voice like ice. "Activate Protocol 7. Convert every factory, every shipyard, every research facility to war production. Call up every reserve unit. Mobilize the entire population if necessary." "Ma'am, that's total war," Crawford warned. Clark nodded slowly. "Yes, it is. They killed 2 million of our people to make a point. Now we're going to make one of our own. They wanted to see human fury. They're about to get it." Earth transformed overnight. President Clark's activation of Protocol 7 turned humanity's homeworld into the largest military-industrial complex the galaxy had ever seen. Every factory that once made consumer goods now produced weapons, armor, and ship components. Every university research lab focused on military technology. Every human being became part of the war effort. Dr. Amanda Ross stood in the secure laboratory beneath the Terra Institute, surrounded by projects that had been classified beyond top secret. For years, humanity's brightest scientists had been working on experimental weapons. Just in case they ever faced a threat they couldn't handle conventionally, that day had arrived. "Show me what we have," Admiral Ben Crawford said as he entered the lab with President Clark. Amanda activated the holographic displays. "Project Ragnarok. We've been developing these technologies for 15 years, ever since we first made contact with alien civilizations." The first display showed a torpedo unlike anything in current human arsenals. "Quantum torpedoes," Amanda explained. "They don't just explode on impact. They destabilize the target's molecular structure at the quantum level. A single hit can cause a starship to literally come apart." Crawford whistled softly. "How many can we produce?" "We have 50,000 already manufactured," Amanda replied. "Production facilities can make 10,000 more per week." The next display showed a different kind of weapon entirely. Neural disruptor fields. They emit electromagnetic pulses specifically tuned to alien nervous systems. They won't kill, but they'll render entire crews unconscious instantly. President Clark studied the data. "You said they won't kill humans?" "Correct. Human neural patterns are different enough that we're immune to the effect. Our boarding parties can walk through a disabled alien ship without resistance." The final display made both Crawford and Clark step back. It showed a massive battleship design bristling with the new weapons. "The Prometheus class," Amanda said. "We started building these in secret shipyards 5 years ago. Each one carries 500 quantum torpedoes, neural disruptor arrays, and enough firepower to destroy a small fleet." "How many?" Crawford asked. 20 are complete. 50 more will be finished within 6 weeks. Clark felt hope stirring for the first time since the colony massacres. "What else?" Amanda smiled grimly. "That's just the beginning. We also have stealth technology that makes our ships invisible to alien sensors. Shield generators that can absorb 10 times more damage than anything the Council has, and something we call planet crackers." "Planet crackers?" "Weapons that can split worlds in half. We've never tested one, but the theory is sound." Crawford shook his head in amazement. "How long have you been preparing for this war?" "Since the day we met the first alien species," Amanda replied. "We hoped we'd never need these weapons, but we knew the galaxy wasn't as peaceful as the aliens claimed. There are too many species, too many competing interests. War was inevitable." While the scientists unveiled humanity's secret weapons, Colonel Rick Hayes found himself promoted to general and given command of the newly formed Vengeance Fleet. His flagship was the TCS Retribution, the first of the completed Prometheus-class battleships. Rick stood on the bridge of his new command, staring out at the 20 massive warships under his control. Each one was larger than anything in the current human fleet, and their crews burned with the same desire for revenge that consumed him. "Sir, we're receiving our first target assignment," reported Captain Lisa Parker, who had been transferred from diplomatic duty to serve as his fleet coordinator. Rick took the data pad and studied the information. Alpha Centauri system. The aliens had built a major military base on the ruins of humanity's first interstellar colony, the place where human dreams of the stars had begun. "How many alien ships?" Rick asked. 800, sir. "Mixed council fleet with heavy cruisers and support vessels." Rick nodded slowly. "Signal all ships. Plot a course for Alpha Centauri. It's time to start taking our colonies back." Meanwhile, Captain Danny Sullivan, rescued from his destroyed ship Valkyrie, found himself given command of another Prometheus-class battleship, the TCS Nemesis. Like Rick, Danny had lost people he cared about in the alien attacks. His entire crew from the Valkyrie had died when the aliens executed the survivors after capturing their escape pods. "Sir," his new tactical officer reported, "we're detecting unusual activity in Council-controlled space. Their fleets are dividing up to occupy our former colonies." Danny studied the tactical display. The aliens were making a classic mistake, spreading their forces too thin across too much territory. They thought humanity was broken, that the survivors would hide on Earth and eventually surrender. They were about to learn how wrong they were. At the same time, Captain Lisa Parker was reviewing intelligence reports from humanity's spy network. Most people didn't know that humans had been operating covert agents in alien space for decades, gathering information about Council military capabilities and political divisions. The spy network was led by Nick Carter, a former military intelligence officer who had spent 15 years building a network of human agents and alien informants throughout Council space. His reports painted a picture of alien governments that had grown complacent after centuries of peace. "Their security is terrible," Lisa told Admiral Crawford during a briefing. "Our agents have been mapping their military bases, supply routes, and command structures for years. We know where their weaknesses are." Crawford studied the intelligence data. "What about their fleet dispositions?" "That's the best part," Lisa replied. "They're so confident that humanity is defeated, they've split their main fleet into smaller occupation forces. Instead of facing 50,000 ships in one battle, we'll be fighting groups of 500 to 1,000 ships at a time." "Divide and conquer," Crawford mused. "Classic mistake." President Clark joined the briefing as they discussed operational plans. "What's our timeline for the first counterattack?" "General Hayes can launch his assault on Alpha Centauri within 48 hours, Crawford reported. "We have intelligence that suggests the alien garrison there is primarily made up of younger species who have never faced serious combat." Clark nodded. "What about the Council's leadership?" "High Counselor Zethkar has moved his command fleet to Nexus Prime," Lisa reported. "He's consolidating power and eliminating political rivals who question his handling of the human situation." "Good," Clark said coldly. "Let him think he's won. It'll make our victory more complete." As humanity prepared for war, the Galactic Council made critical errors based on their assumptions about human nature. They believed that the colony massacres would break human spirit, that the survivors would beg for mercy rather than fight back. High Counselor Zethkar reviewed reports from the occupation forces with satisfaction. "The human colonies have been pacified," he told his council. "Their military is destroyed, their population scattered. Within a few months they will surrender completely." "What about their industrial capacity?" asked the Karathi representative. "Intelligence suggests they are converting their factories for military production." Zethkar dismissed the concern with a wave of his hand. "They are a young species. They lack the experience and technology to challenge us effectively. Let them build a few more primitive ships. It will only delay the inevitable." The Council's military advisors were less confident. Admiral Krexlon had studied human combat tactics during the colony assaults and found them surprisingly effective. Even when vastly outnumbered. "Their ships are more advanced than we expected," Krexlon warned, "and their crews fight with unusual determination." "Fear," Zethkar replied. "They know they cannot win, so they fight desperately. Once they realize the futility of resistance, they will submit." But Admiral Krexlon had seen something else in the human military responses. Something that worried him deeply. The humans hadn't just fought desperately. They had fought intelligently, using tactics and technologies that suggested careful preparation and long-term planning. He kept his concerns to himself, but privately began reinforcing his fleet positions and requesting additional ships from the Council reserves. If the humans were planning something, he wanted to be ready. General Hayes stood on the bridge of the Retribution as his fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace. 20 Prometheus-class battleships supported by 50 conventional human warships, all crewed by people who had lost family and friends in the alien attacks. "All ships report ready." "Sir," Captain Parker announced. Rick looked out at the stars one last time before giving the order that would begin humanity's war of revenge. Somewhere out there, Kate's killers were waiting, confident in their victory. "Jump," Rick commanded. The Vengeance fleet vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it the fury of an entire species that had been pushed too far. The Battle of Alpha Centauri began at exactly 0800 hours ship time. General Rick Hayes watched through the main screen as his fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, catching the alien garrison completely unprepared. The Council forces had been expecting nothing more dangerous than refugee ships trying to return to their destroyed colony. Instead, they found themselves facing 20 of the most advanced warships ever built, backed by 50 conventional human vessels that had been upgraded with the latest technology. "All ships, you are authorized to engage," Rick commanded from the bridge of the Retribution. "Remember what they did to our people." The first volley of quantum torpedoes lit up space like a newborn star. The alien ships, still scrambling to raise their shields and power their weapons, took the full force of humanity's secret weapons. 3 Council cruisers simply vanished, their molecular structure destabilized at the quantum level. Captain Danny Sullivan, commanding the battleship Nemesis, led his squadron against the alien orbital platforms. His ship's neural disruptor field swept across the stations like invisible waves, rendering the alien crews unconscious in seconds. "Boarding parties away," Danny announced as human Marines prepared to capture the platforms intact. "Secure all intelligence data and prisoner lists." Lieutenant Amy Parker, now serving as Danny's tactical officer, monitored the battle from the Nemesis bridge. "Sir, the alien fleet is trying to form up for a counterattack." Danny studied the tactical display. The Council ships were larger and more numerous, but they moved like ancient sailing vessels compared to the swift human warships. Their weapons were powerful but slow to target, designed for battles between fleets that moved in predictable patterns. "Target their command ship with neural disruptors," Danny ordered. "Let's take their admiral alive." The invisible field swept across the alien flagship. Within moments, the massive vessel went dark as its entire crew fell unconscious. Human boarding teams would soon be swarming through its corridors, gathering intelligence and capturing officers. Back on the Retribution, Rick watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. In less than 2 hours, the entire alien garrison was either destroyed or captured. 800 enemy ships reduced to space debris or floating hulks waiting for human salvage teams. "Casualties?" Rick asked. "Minimal, sir," Captain Lisa Parker reported. "We lost 1 destroyer to focused fire, but the crew evacuated safely. Total human casualties, 37 wounded, no deaths." Rick nodded. The new weapons and shields had performed even better than expected. But this was just the beginning. "Signal Admiral Crawford," Rick ordered. "Phase 1 complete. Alpha Centauri is ours." The victory sent shockwaves through both human and alien space. Admiral Ben Crawford immediately launched Operation Thunderbolt. Coordinated strikes against 12 Council military installations across 3 sectors. Captain Lisa Parker found herself commanding a task force of upgraded human destroyers, hitting alien supply bases and communication stations. Her ships moved like ghosts through Council space, striking without warning and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. "Target secured," Lisa reported after her 4th successful raid. "Another supply depot neutralized, and we captured 2,000 tons of military supplies." But the most important mission fell to a Special Forces team led by Major Kate Williams, a combat veteran who had volunteered for the most dangerous assignment in human space. Intelligence indicates the aliens have been using captured colonists as forced labor. Admiral Crawford briefed the team. "We've located 3 prison camps with approximately 50,000 human captives." Kate studied the mission parameters. The camps were heavily guarded and located deep in Council territory. A conventional rescue would be impossible, but humanity's new stealth technology made the impossible merely difficult. "We go in quiet, disable the guards with neural disruptors, and evacuate as many people as possible," Kate explained to her team. "These people have been waiting for rescue since the colonies fell. We're not leaving anyone behind." The rescue mission at Kepler 438c became a legend among human military forces. Kate's team infiltrated the prison camp during the night shift, when most of the guards were sleeping. Neural disruptor grenades rendered the alien overseers unconscious without harming the human prisoners. "You're safe now," Kate told the first group of prisoners she encountered. "We're taking you home." Many of the prisoners wept as they realized rescue had finally come. They had been forced to work in alien mines and factories, treated like animals by their captors. Some had been imprisoned for months, others for over a year. "How many of us are there?" asked Dr. Jim Parker, a scientist who had been captured when his research station was overrun. 50,000 across 3 camps, Kate replied. We're hitting all of them simultaneously. The rescue operation saved 47,000 human prisoners, but what Kate's team discovered in the camps fueled humanity's rage even further. The aliens hadn't just used humans as slave labor. They had conducted medical experiments, tested alien diseases on human subjects, and separated families to break their spirits. They treated us like laboratory animals, Dr. Parker reported when he was debriefed on Earth. They wanted to understand human physiology so they could develop more effective ways to control us. President Clark received the rescue reports with growing anger. Each new revelation about alien cruelty made her more determined to see justice done. They're not just conquerors, she told her cabinet. They're monsters. And monsters need to be stopped. Meanwhile, Nick Carter's spy network was wreaking havoc throughout Council space. Human agents and their alien sympathizers sabotaged supply convoys, planted false intelligence, and spread rumors that created panic among Council forces. The aliens are starting to turn on each other. Nick reported during a secure communication with Earth. 3 minor species have already withdrawn their fleets from human space, claiming they want no part in a war with such a dangerous enemy. The psychological warfare was working. Stories of human weapons that could destroy ships instantly, of invisible fleets that struck without warning, and of the terrible fate awaiting anyone who harmed human civilians spread throughout alien space. High Counselor Zeth Kar found his authority challenged for the first time in decades. Several species demanded explanations for the military disasters, while others questioned whether the war with humanity had been necessary at all. The humans are more dangerous than we anticipated, Admiral Krexelon admitted during an emergency council session. Their technology is beyond what we expected from such a young species. Impossible, Zeth Kar replied, but his confidence was shaking. They are primitives who discovered space travel only recently. Primitives don't build weapons that can destabilize matter at the quantum level, Krexelon countered. Primitives don't develop neural disruptors that only affect alien brain patterns. They've been preparing for this war longer than we realized. The truth was becoming clear to the Council's military leadership. Even if their politicians refused to accept it, humanity hadn't just stumbled into advanced technology through luck or accident. They had deliberately developed weapons specifically designed to fight alien species, suggesting years of careful planning and preparation. As human victories mounted, General Hayes prepared for the ultimate target, Nexus Prime, the Council's capital world. Intelligence indicated that Zeth Kar had consolidated most of his remaining fleet there, turning the system into the most heavily defended location in alien space. 1,500 enemy ships, Captain Parker reported during the final briefing. Every major Council species has contributed vessels to the defense. Rick studied the tactical data. It would be the largest space battle in galactic history, with humanity's expanded fleet of 500 ships facing 3 times their number in enemy vessels. They have numbers, Rick said to his assembled captains, but we have better technology, better training, and something they can't match. What's that, sir? Asked Captain Sullivan. Rick's expression hardened as he thought of Kate, of all the colonists who had died, of the prisoners who had suffered in alien camps. We have justice on our side, he said. And we have 2 million reasons to win this fight. The siege of Nexus Prime was about to begin, and with it, the final chapter in humanity's war of revenge against the Galactic Council. The space around Nexus Prime became a graveyard of starships as the largest battle in galactic history raged for 18 hours. General Rick Hayes watched from the bridge of the Retribution as human and alien. Vessels clashed in a deadly dance among the stars. The Council's home fleet of 1,500 warships had formed defensive rings around their capital world, with the most powerful dreadnoughts positioned closest to the planet. They believed their superior numbers would overwhelm the human attackers, just as they had overwhelmed human colonies months earlier. They were wrong. Admiral Ben Crawford led the main assault from his flagship, the massive battleship Vengeance. His quantum torpedoes tore through alien shield generators like paper, while his neural disruptor fields cleared entire sections of enemy ships for human boarding parties. Target the command dreadnought, Crawford ordered. If we can take out their fleet commander, the rest will break formation. Captain Danny Sullivan's squadron attacked from the flank, using their superior speed to dart between the larger alien vessels. The Nemesis and her sister ships fired their advanced weapons at point-blank range, watching enemy cruisers break apart under the quantum assault. "Sir, we're detecting massive power buildup on the planet's surface," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Jake Morris. "They're charging the planetary defense grid." Danny studied the sensor readings. The aliens were preparing to fire massive orbital cannons at the human fleet, weapons powerful enough to destroy even the Prometheus-class battleships with a single hit. "Signal the fleet," Danny commanded. "All ships evasive maneuvers. Prepare for planetary bombardment." But the orbital cannons never fired. Major Kate Williams and her Special Forces team had infiltrated Nexus Prime during the space battle, using stolen alien shuttles to reach the planet's surface. While the fleets fought above, her commandos were sabotaging the defense grid from within. "Charges set," Kate reported through her communicator. "Planetary defenses will be offline in 60 seconds. The explosions that followed lit up the night side of Nexus Prime as the massive defense installations erupted in brilliant fireballs. The alien population watched in terror as their most powerful weapons were destroyed by invisible human warriors. High Counselor Zethkar stood in his command center deep beneath the planet's capital city, watching his fleet die on the tactical displays. For the first time in his long life, he understood what it meant to face an enemy that was truly superior. "Sir, the humans are demanding our surrender," his aide reported nervously. Zethkar looked at the communication request. The human fleet had positioned itself in orbit above the major population centers, their weapons trained on the cities below. A single word from their commander could reduce Nexus Prime to radioactive ash. "Open the channel," Zethkar ordered. General Hayes appeared on the main screen, his face cold as winter space. Behind him, the bridge of the Retribution showed the controlled chaos of a warship in combat. "High Counselor," Rick said without ceremony, "your fleet is broken. Your defenses are down. I'm giving you one chance to surrender unconditionally." Zethkar straightened his shoulders, trying to maintain dignity in defeat. "And if I refuse?" Rick's expression didn't change. "Then I demonstrate what happens when you murder human children." The threat hung in the air between them. Zethkar had seen the devastating power of human weapons during the battle. He knew Rick could carry out his promise to destroy the planet. "What are your terms?" Zethkar asked. "Unconditional surrender of all Council forces," Rick replied. "Full accounting of all human prisoners and casualties. Immediate withdrawal from all occupied human territories. And most importantly, you and your co-conspirators will stand trial for crimes against sentient beings." "Impossible," Zethkar protested. "The Council does not recognize human authority to conduct such trials." Rick leaned forward slightly. "High Counselor, you seem to be under the impression that you're in a position to negotiate. You're not. Look at your fleet. Look at your defenses. You have nothing left to bargain with." To emphasize his point, Rick gave a subtle hand signal to his weapons officer. A single quantum torpedo launched from the Retribution, streaking down toward Nexus Prime's largest moon. The small celestial body cracked in half like an egg, both pieces drifting apart in a shower of debris. "That was a demonstration," Rick said calmly. "My scientists call it a planet cracker. The next one can be aimed at your capital city if you prefer." The display of power broke Zethkar's remaining resolve. The weapon that could split a moon could certainly destroy his planet's cities, killing billions of innocent aliens who had never voted for war with humanity. I surrender," Zethkar said quietly. "The Council surrenders." The words were transmitted across the galaxy, ending the war that had begun with humanity's forced evacuation. But for Rick Hayes and the survivors of the colony massacres, the real work was just beginning. President Helen Clark arrived at Nexus Prime aboard the diplomatic vessel Aurora, the same ship where Ambassador Jake Morrison had first received the Council's ultimatum. The War Crimes Tribunal would be held on neutral ground, with judges from species that had remained neutral during the conflict. 2 million dead, Clark said as she reviewed the charges against the Council leadership. 50,000 enslaved. Countless others who suffered because these aliens decided humanity was a threat to their comfortable existence. The trials lasted for 6 months. One by one, the evidence was presented. The deliberate targeting of civilian colonies, the execution of prisoners, the medical experiments conducted on human captives. The alien defendants claimed they had acted within Their authority as the established galactic government, the judges disagreed. The systematic destruction of civilian populations constitutes genocide, declared Judge Korth of the neutral Valdris species. The enslavement of prisoners violates every principle of civilized conduct. The medical experiments represent crimes against the basic dignity of sentient life. High Counselor Zethkar and 17 of his subordinates were sentenced to life imprisonment on a remote world, guarded by human forces. The Galactic Council was dissolved. Its member species given the choice of joining a new democratic alliance or governing themselves independently. Admiral Ben Crawford oversaw the transformation of the galaxy's military structure. The old system of species-based fleets was replaced with an integrated defense force, commanded by officers chosen for merit rather than political connections. Never again, Crawford declared at the ceremony establishing the new Galactic Defense Force. Never again will any species face the choice between submission and extinction. General Rick Hayes chose a different path. After the trials ended, he resigned his commission and returned to New Denver, which had been rebuilt from the ashes of the alien bombardment. A memorial wall now stood in the city center, bearing the names of all who had died defending their home. Rick stood before Kate's name on the wall, finally allowing himself to grieve properly. Captain Lisa Parker, now Admiral Parker, found him there on the first anniversary of the colony's destruction. "She saved a lot of children that day," Lisa said quietly. "The nurses said she could have escaped, but she stayed to help with the evacuation." Rick nodded, touching Kate's name carved in the black stone. "She always said that medicine was about saving lives no matter the cost. I guess she lived up to that belief. The galaxy is different now because of what she and the others did," Lisa continued. "Humanity has a seat on the new Galactic Senate. Our technology is being shared with peaceful species. The old system of oppression is gone forever." Rick smiled sadly. Kate would have liked that. She always believed people could be better than their worst impulses. Across human space, similar memorials honored the 2 million who had died in the colony massacres, but they were balanced by new settlements, new colonies spreading human civilization deeper into the galaxy than ever before. The aliens who had tried to contain humanity had instead forced them to become the dominant power in local space. President Clark, now Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Alliance, stood in her office overlooking the rebuilt city of New Geneva on Proxima Centauri. Through her window she could see human and alien children playing together in the parks, their laughter a testament to how much had changed. "The latest reports, ma'am," her aide said, bringing her the daily intelligence briefings. 3 more species have requested membership in the Alliance. Trade agreements are expanding. The former Council territories are adapting well to democratic government. Clark nodded, but her attention was drawn to a special report from the exploration fleets. Human ships were pushing further into unexplored space, establishing contact with new species and expanding the boundaries of known civilization. "Any signs of hostile contact?" she asked. "None, ma'am. Word of what happened to the Council has spread far beyond our local region. Most species are eager to establish peaceful relations rather than risk conflict with humanity." Clark allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy had learned an important lesson about pushing humanity too far. The cost had been terrible, but from that suffering had emerged a new golden age of cooperation and expansion. Captain Danny Sullivan, now commanding the exploration vessel Discovery, stood on his bridge as they approached a previously unknown